like I always mention, the principle that, the primary principle that it's all based on is that all development, or all life, or all existence, all evolution is based on the desire to survive, survival. For some reason, nobody bothers to ask the question, where does the spirit for survival come from? So that's just throwing a damper to the whole theory. I don't want to go into this. I want to explain what the intellectual, what the living thought process is. Essentially, all movement, all existence starts from a spirit. Like Chassidus says, Iyar. What's Iyar? Iyar is a spirit of reality. I don't want to go too deeply into this because we'll just lose the opportunity to get the point that I want. Why is this called Iyar? Because this is the Iyar, this is the light coming from the outside. Coming back to our level of understanding. I explained many times. The simplest point. Physically, a table is a board with four legs. And we explained. The board with four legs did not create itself as a board with four legs. It was not conceptualized by the human being as a body and four legs. It was not discovered as a body and four legs. Where was it discovered? Where was it conceptualized? It was conceptualized deep down in the human psyche, in the human soul. Like we said many times, the principle of the reality that the Beis had imbued into the human being, but the human being was given a status beyond self-preservation and perpetuation. Human being was given a status in this world of infinite value, of principal value. Like we said many times when we went around the table. When the Beis created the whole world, he created everything before the human being. If he had left the world in that state, did not bring the human being into the place, what would the world be about? Could that be referred to as a world? Physically, it was a world without nothing, with everything. But was it a world worthy of being created, worthy of its creator? Did this world carry the spirit and, so to speak, represent the status of this creator in any which way? The human being, he complemented the world. He came to actually make the world into a real presence, a real world. From this perspective, that the human being is well aware of this status of his. This is in his neshama, in his nefesh. But it's not just in his nefesh. He's well aware of it. This is called gilu. He's quite well aware of what his status is and what his place in the world is. He's aware of it to the extent that if he fails to link up and to fulfill his mission in this arena, he loses completely self-orientation. What am I here for? I see that you're okay.
He loses self-orientation. He loses a sense of like what he's here for.
Yeah. He knows this what he did for, but he loses the joy of accomplishing it, of being what he should be. He becomes depressed, despondent. He loses interest in his own life, because this is not life by his definition. So therefore, coming back to, as I said, the simple thing. A table. We spoke many times, a table represents the human status, kavod, self-respect. And it can be identified at many levels, as we already did many times. At the practical level, at the emotional level, and intellectual level. To the extent that people get together to talk, they sit by a table. It's nothing to do with emotion, that we do with practice. It's just this is the manner that they feel comfortable, they feel accommodated as human beings. And here's the point. After having said this, and we already discussed it, I said multiple times, when we say the word table, what comes to mind? This is the crux of the issue. Are we automatically going back to what a table looks like? Or what is a table? What is a table? From a human perspective, from a Shoma perspective. I went into my neighbor, and there was a dining room, there was a table and chairs. What does that tell you? What makes you think? What does it make you think of? Does it make you think of what the table looked like? Was it a mahogany table? What kind of table was it? What does it make you think of? What does it tell you about that room? So my point is this, that after we discuss this and after we realize this, especially, particularly, imperatively, that when we talk about Chassidus, Chassidus speaks entirely on that level. Chassidus speaks of things from the perspective of how the sechel perceives these things. Of course, there's a keli, there's a means how you bring it into this world. That's totally secondary. So, when we're focusing on it, surely everyone understands the truth of this and the importance of this. But then when we come in middle in the Maimer, and the Maimer makes a point, we fail to realize what the Maimer is talking about. When the Maimer says the word Gilui, what does it mean, Gilui? What kind of speech is it making? We spoke about Rum Shebi Abosha, Rum Shebi Yam. I think, this is an excellent means by which we can relate, because everybody, bar none, senses the difference between Rum Shebi Abosha and Rum Shebi Yam. Particularly if that difference has been pointed to. Let's go, come here.
Sounds like Niagara Falls.
What? Niagara Falls, okay. Niagara Falls, people go to Niagara Falls, come here. Come sit down. When we say the word Gilui, when I said I failed to introduce it, hoping that it would just strike, hint, surface on its own. It was my mistake. But now that I introduced in general the whole Iyar, again, what we mean by a sechel concept, a Torah concept, a neshama concept. I always start when we said the word bechinas. And I point, please understand what bechinas refers to. Bechinas is identifying a certain aspect without giving it hands and feet, without giving it weight or size. And yet it's very real. The fish breathe in the water. The human being breathes in the air. There's a fundamental difference between the breathing process of the human being and that of the fish. Can we sense that? Can we relate to that? Yes, no? Can we see the difference? Can we speak about it? Let's look.
There's no air in the water.
Sure there is. What do you think the fish is breathing with? It takes the oxygen from the water. Oxygen is, water is
H2O.
H2O. 2 parts of hydrogen and 1 part of oxygen. We too breathe the air, but not breathing all the air. We are filtering the air before we take it in. Because if you should take the air the way it is, we get poisoned.
So, feel the difference between the way a fish breathes.
Yes, sensitive. I wonder they should begin to really think, so to speak. When you see this, the sechel is talking about. Human being, we were blessed with sechel. Our reality, please understand this. Our reality is the reality identified by sechel, not the reality identified with our hands and feet, our stomachs, or even our emotions. As you learn in Chassidus, in order to have an emotion, you have to have a sechel that brings out the emotion. If one gets just emotional without a sechel behind, this is on the animal level.
Now,
Do you ever see have a dog, a little peachy, nothing, little cat size of a dog. You go like this, he stands up like ready to attack. What do you think you are? Yes, go ahead.
the fish, it seems like breathing it seems like the way a fish moves versus the way Yavasha moves. There, the difference is quite distinct. But the breathing seems unique in that it's almost not sensed by either of them.
Really?
Our breathing, unless you focus on it, is not.
Whether you focus on it or not, it's an in and out process.
The fish's gills also move.
The gills, but this is not a gill, it's not an active process.
Oh, so they're. Okay. So like
They absorb the oxygen
like you say, they're lying down.
That's
so
right.
do they breathing. Mashiach can by our breathing, which also seems pretty subconscious.
Our breathing is pretty smooth, and I explained many times why.
Life itself.
Huh?
Life itself.
It has to be smooth. Why is it made to be smooth? And how is it made? First, let's just step back. What makes it smooth physically?
Air pressure.
The air pressure. Like the air is automatically coming, given to us. If not for that, it would not be an experience of life.
Right. That feature makes it seem close to like the one in the water.
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. Please think about it. Not at all, because it's still in and out, in and out. And we are absolutely aware of it.
Right.
Rabbi Paltiel?
Yes, sir.
you're saying that our breathing, even though you often emphasize how we're not doing the breathing, the air is pushing itself into us.
That's right.
But your point is that we're nevertheless aware that something is happening.
That's right. That's
Whereas
right.
the fish are not aware that anything is happening.
Not at all. Not at all. That's what we explained. I mean, I went too far, maybe. I explained. A living creature, a dry land creature, want to shecht an animal, which Hashem permitted us to shecht, but you have to shecht it in a certain way. And what does it mean how do you shecht it? You shecht it in a way that is less painful, and then you drain the blood. What's the blood? Why draining the blood? Draining the blood means take its life out first. Then you can deal with its body. As long as life is in it, you can't deal with its body. Fish don't have that restriction. Because the fish, the life and the body are inseparable. Did you know that we are allowed to drink blood, whatever it's called, fish blood? Huh?
Bon appetit.
Bon appetit. No, there's nothing. No, you eat it all the time because you don't salt and kasha fish. Take the fish and cook it. It's all in there.
So this distinction, we're revisiting this distinction to get a feel for what sechel attends to.
Yeah, yes, that's right. Visiting is because we constantly coming to know. Here the Rebbe came with and said, this is gilu, bechinas gilu. I wonder what came to mind when the Rebbe said, bechinas gilu. I'm at fault because I didn't bother explaining. I thought it will come, but it didn't. It created very big difficulties, and to struggle with it. What does the Rebbe mean, bechinas gilu? We did explain. We got an example. We had the idea of awareness and so forth. But when it came bechinas gilu, I should have stopped. Okay, here is what we're talking about. Because invariably, say bechinas gilu, it probably means how one relates to the other person. But that's not what it means. Bechinas gilu, as we said, self-awareness. Human being is aware of the fact that he is alive, and that is what distinguishes him from the fish. In fact, really, it's distinguishing a human being is distinct even from land animals. Chassidus has the following phrase. I'm sure everybody encountered it. And I'd like to quote that phrase. I'd like to discuss it. To what extent you can understand it is immaterial. The point is you should see that it's a loaded phrase. It's not a simple term. And the phrase is that every human being wants to live. Roitze lichyos. Rotzen lichyos. Rotzen lichyos, the will to live. What is that referring to? He wants to maintain his body activities. What is life? He wants to maintain, his bodily activities. Like those idiots, right? He wants to make sure, right? He wants to survive. So you build all kind of different things to protect his body. So as I said, this is a very, very deep concept, principle. But nonetheless, without discussing it, I would like to that we should be aware that this is, as I said, in a very loaded statement. Rotzen lichyos is not translatable in any activity. Like I said, what is it Rotzen lichyos? He wants another part of cholent. An approach to this, like we pointed out before, human beings' presence in the world is worlds apart from every other creature. He is responsible for the world. That's how his presence in the world is defined. He is responsible. He has to develop it. He has to conquer it, as the Torah says. But not just for self-serving purposes. But because that's his task to develop the world. This Rotzen is not based on any kind of experience. And the lack of success in the Rotzen is not the loss of experience. Like we say many times, this is something which should make everybody think and realize to what extent we understand is understanding the significance. But we see clearly, Rahman al-Islam, a person on less breath of life. He is motionless in bed. As a matter of fact, he can't even breathe on his own. They put oxygen tubes into his nose to help him along in breathing. And yet, we all appreciate this moment of life. We communicate with this person through looking into his eyes, and he looks back to our eyes. And we understand each other. What kind of experience is he anticipating? Not the moment. In that moment, okay, in that moment, his struggling breathing, his struggle to maintain his presence, his living presence in this world, is due to his responsibility for the world. me relate to that statement? This is not an emotional thing, this is not an experience, this is the intellect speaking. And it's so much speaking. There's a reality here. And I value it. I'm responsible for it. I want to keep it up for another moment. And I want all my children or everyone to see how much I appreciate this, so that they will also value it. Do I have you with me? Some of you? No?
Why do you say what?
Huh?
So why do you say that?
What?
The last thing you said was, why do you say that?
I hear it.
The last thing you said was, why do you say that?
No, I didn't say that. I said, he says, see how valuable life is, and how and what the world means to me, means to you. You have to bring life to the world, and I bring to the life to the world as long as I can. And that should teach all of you what the value of life. Am I communicating here?
Yeah.
You're definitely communicating. At least over here on the phone.
I'm sorry?
At least over here on the phone, you're for sure getting through.
He doesn't have to have any function in the world. Just the fact that he's alive and he's present here, the world is significant because of it.
Less moments of life, I had the experience. I came with my mother-in-law was passing away. She looked straight eye to eye. She was fully alive, even though she was motionless.
I think you could even have this experience with someone who is in a coma.
That's true, but you need to study it. But that's also true. But somebody is conscious. This consciousness, this is gilui of nefesh. So the Rebbe says gilui, it does not mean that he gets up and throws a ball.
Doesn't mean what?
You don't know anything about that. Come on, Professor.
Oh, no. I just want to know the words that he says.
It doesn't mean that he's ready to get up and throw a ball.
Oh, okay. You're right, I don't know anything about that.
Or sing a nice song.
Or sing a nice song. None of that. And we said, starting from get-go, from step one, human being is aware of every breath. Doesn't mean automatically. It means easily. But it's an act. It's an active pursuit. Like we said many times, when you go out, you say, breath of fresh air. I don't know if I can get you to think about what?
That's a privileged moment.
I'm sorry?
That's a very privileged moment when you go out and you suddenly realize how breathe of fresh air is good, but most of the time we are not conscious that we breathe.
Sure we are. Come on, of course we are. The reason I brought in this brush of fresh air is to make another point. What does it mean, a breath of fresh air? Why does he need to go outside? He doesn't breathe all the air outside. He breathes just a little bit that's next to his nose. What's the meaning of a breath of fresh air outside the whole breath of fresh air? It is his awareness that there is this infinite resource of air being pushing itself to him. And this is what gives him the calm, this is what gives him the experience of life. Not the air that comes into his nostril, but the air that pushes that air into the nostrils. That's real experience of life. The experience of life. This is the physical and the spiritual level. The experience of life on the spiritual level, I'm not talking about natural gifts, it's also human life. Excuse me. But the intellect is aware of, the experience of life is that life is real. There is life all over. There's no limit. It's an infinite reality. This is where when we come to realize that there's a living God who gives us life. This is another thing that's so painful when you read the Darwinism, the Darwinian thought of life. It's mamash so painful to think that people actually study this garbage.
What are you referring to? Like academia?
Huh?
Academia, like science or something? Darwinism.
Life is, the body has to keep on changing in order to stay the same. I once read the whole definition of that. It's, the whole thing is so lifeless. Life itself is lifeless. Just as physical life is the experience of the infinite resource of life, not the little bit of air that is in your nostril, but the infinite resource of air that actually helps you breathe. Spiritual life is exactly the same thing. You don't live by your own devices. You can only live if you recognize that there's a living God. There's life in the world. Let me take you back into the table and chairs. You enter a room and there's a table and chairs lined up. What does that tell you? What does that alert you to? There was a good carpenter over here? Or there was somebody with a good taste for colors?
For what?
For colors? Or that there is a living human being here? This is a lived-in home.
So we have to constantly meditate on this?
You don't have to meditate on it. This is automatic. You have to meditate on that.
It seems like it's automatic to think like I have to survive and I have to like.
No, you don't have to think you have to survive. You don't have to think any of that.
It seems like that's,
No, none of that. None of that.
I have to think about myself. Nobody else is thinking about me.
Well, I'm saying you can think about anything you want. I want to know whether we are sensitive to the intellectual experience of life. And I said that I'm pointing a very, very simple question. You come into the room and there's a table and chairs lined up. What are you observing? What are you recognizing in this? What conclusion do you make that comes to you when you just see it? And at the moment, when you see it, what did you see? What did you see? Oh, it took $5,000 to put it together. What do you see?
I will see there's a place where you sit down.
You see that this is a living place. And even you Shmuel see that this also. Except you're trained in your mind to immediately discount anything living and put it in different terms. This is exactly what we are trying to do over here. No. The other thing is to be discounted. The real thing is your living experience. That's what's valuable. That's a real person.
Yeah.
So I took, when I'm up to in time, I took this time, I said, tonight,
It's my phone.
I feel, this is, sorry.
That's okay, you can still get the
I
time.
just want to see what time it is.
9:20.
9:28. I took this because I said, at least you have to know what you're talking about. To what extent we have refined our sechel to relate to it, it takes time. At least we know we're not talking about throwing a baseball. We're talking about gili. There is such thing as a gilui internal to the nefesh. Surely internal to the first, but this is monan to the person. But in monan, that internal to the nefesh itself is in for gilui. The nefesh is aware, and that's when nefesh has koiches, chochma bina das. And the nefesh is urging us to live according with its spirit. And it protests when we are ignoring it. This is a phenomenal union. Like we said, I'm not even aware that they're alive, because life and body is identical. Ruba should be Abosho. It's completely different world. The Havdil, I'm talking about even animals. A human being is in a completely different class, totally different world. Even animals, they stand up on their legs, holding themselves up. What urges them to stand up? Not to be lying on the ground. Because they have this awareness of living. This is even animals. A human being, as you pointed out, is in the time is